Hello, and welcome to day 16 of 99 Days of Deeper Embodiment. I'm just going to wait for a moment to see if anyone joins. My name is Jason King. This is day 16. Okay, the sun is in my face. It took me a little while today to find a good spot to pull off to do the live stream. There's a lot of sun. I'm on a cross-country drive at the moment, driving from New York to Utah, and right now I'm in Ohio, right on the border of Illinois, so not too far away from Chicago, actually. And so I found a spot to pull off of the turnpike. And a lot of sun. So that is in my face at the moment, which is fun. So there's a lot coming up. This container is really interesting to hold. So 99 days is a big commitment, and this is a commitment to self. So what I'm finding is that in order to hold this container well, which means completing the commitment, that I have to create a lot of space, a lot of emptiness. A tremendous amount of emptiness is required to hold the self, because the self is all. There's no identity in self. And so to hold self, to embody deeply and profoundly, and a commitment of 99 days brings up everything that's in the way of that. Requires a lot of space, a lot of emptiness. So I've been finding ways to build that in even while moving. And that's been challenging. It's been something that's been coming up for me. Because everything that shows up, I need to feel through. I need to meet it. And if I don't meet it, what I'm seeing is that that immediately causes a consequence in my reality. Like I immediately see it. Like, oh wow, I picked up a thought and I didn't feel it all the way through. So there's an immediate reaction, and I can see it. And so one of the things that has been coming up is that okay, let me feel into what is here deeply. Is that I've been seeing that any ideas that show up, if I hold on to them rather than drop them into the heart and feel them, that they say that there's something here that isn't. They say that there's something other than love here. And so if I believe that and I don't feel it all the way through, then that projects something that is other than love. That says that there's something other than love here. And so what I am seeing very clearly is that this creates a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos. And so one of the ways that I've been seeing it show up, which is really profoundly challenging to touch and to feel, is another personal story. So over the course of the past year, I've been living in Lima with someone who's very dear to me. His name is Luis. He's a 24-year-old man from Venezuela. And we were living together in Lima, and we've had an intimate relationship. And intimate being that the relationship has been largely based on expansion together. It's not a sexual relationship because where I'm at, that doesn't really show up in the same way. Um, oh, I apologize. Let me mute this. So that doesn't show up in the same way for me. However, um, intimacy, yes. We have been doing A Course in Miracles all year together. We started that together, and we've been doing practices together, and it's just been a journey, and it's been really a tremendous amount of growth, a lot of harmonizing of perspectives between um, North America and South America, and the differences that in the way that we see each other, a lot of harmonizing of ideas of being a white person or a Latin American, and harmonizing that, and a lot of just meeting the pain of feeling misunderstood, of feeling not recognized. A lot of the pain of this is one that's really deep is because what I can feel is that South America is there's a lot of love there. I mean, it's very feminine, the energy. And so North America has a masculine way of seeing the world, and has gone down a very masculine dominant path. And so meeting the two of them within myself through this dance with Luis over the course of the past year has been um, very balancing. It's allowed me the opportunity to really balance and to also meet my inner child in a way and integrate my inner child in a way that I hadn't been able to previously. And so we got to a point about a month ago where very strong ideas of lack were showing up. They were showing up in my life, not being able to feel abundance, not being able to move into abundance. And what I began to notice is that these ideas were so strong that I needed to move, that there was no way that I could stay in Peru because they were very strong, and they brought a lot of panic into the body. So in order to meet them, I would have to move. I couldn't stay in Peru and meet them. There was no way to embody them fully and stay where I was at. Um, Without a tremendous amount of pain, which the body wasn't ready to feel through. And that even in every time I went into them to meet them and feel through them in the heart, what would happen is that this would have an effect in Luis's body because we're so close and we've been working together for a long time. So the effect is immediately visible um, in whatever is coming up. Whew. And so we began to feel through that together and feel through what was being, what was needed, what was being pulled for, what was required in order to move from there to more fully and deeply embody at that point. And it arose that I would have to return to the United States and go to Utah. And that's what came up. And that came up from a deep seeing within meditation. In fact, I don't really, I mean, I can see what is moving me to Utah, and what I can feel what it is that's moving me there. It's at a feeling level. There's a lot of integration that will happen, even just through this trip and creating the container that I am holding right now, which is this container that you are joining me on, this journey that you're joining me on through this, um, is a lot of integration. And so that is now visible because you can share it with me through through this through this video. So uh, on the flip side of that, what showed up for Luis is a lot of mistrust in his own source. And those ideas of losing something that you love, because I was leaving, and ideas of separation, very, very strong for him, that when they hit him, he latched onto them and went into them. And so that created a lot of um, pain in his body, which now has resulted that he's in the hospital in Lima. Um, and he's been getting cared for there because they're so heavy. And it's been really challenging because it's like, okay, well, here we're recognizing as we're dancing together that, first of all, the ideas of us being separated are not true, and that they need to be felt and met every time they come up. And if they don't, then immediately there's a lot of pain, not just pain in my heart that I'm feeling, like that shows up for me, but pain in his body where he's actually in the hospital and receiving treatment and care. Because when the pain shows up in his body, it's very intense. And this is one of the most interesting things to see very clearly, is that anytime he picks up one of these ideas that are so heavy, then because there's so many ideas in the field around him, then those ideas start to come in too. And those ideas are also very heavy. So it begins this kind of like what I would call a fall into ignorance, where the mind gets energized to such a degree that there's very little awareness in body at that point, because all of the focus is on an idea. And if all of the focus is on the idea, then there's very little awareness in the body, and there's not sufficient awareness to meet it. And so that leads to a rapid decay in the ability of the body to process that information. But the flip side of that for me has been to see that in any moment, if I pick up an idea that says that I'm separate from him, then that immediately projects, it immediately puts something in front of love, because there is love, there is only love there. And so if I believe anything that shows up, any idea that shows up at all, if I pick it up in the moment, then it will cover up love. And as it covers up love, then there's almost an immediate reaction. It's like I'll get a text message or a phone call, and I will see that his health is eroding. I will see that there's something that is showing me very clearly that I picked up an idea, that there's something other than love there. And so this is very rapidly guiding me deeper. But it's not something that is easy at all. I mean, because it's actually, it feels very real. It feels very real that someone that I care very deeply about is in pain and suffering. And so I had something else come up, which was also which I'm also still feeling through, and that is the idea that by holding this space, and by my commitment to truth and my commitment to deeper embodiment in this way, that it is hurting others in the sense that it is taking away their opportunity to continue to evolve, to continue to play, because I am so deeply committed to it with myself, that that in that commitment, because all is one, then it accelerates the process for everyone else. Everyone has to end up feeling um, the separation that they're believing in much more rapidly. And so this is coming into my awareness as well, and I'm feeling that idea, because that idea says, oh, well, we have to be compassionate for all the beings that are in samsara and liberate all of them. And so there's another level of seeing where I'm seeing, oh, well, but samsara doesn't actually exist. That's also an idea. So that idea of samsara is very jagged. It is really prickly. And it is not an easy one to feel, and it's coming up for me. So I'm seeing the root of it. I'm seeing the root of this imagination that there actually is a samsara, which there isn't. That's completely false. There's no such thing as a samsara. Nobody is actually trapped. That couldn't possibly be, because all there is here is the self, and that I can see very, very clearly. So it's a degree of embodiment now that I'm hitting, where it's bringing up things that are that are core level. Because as I'm feeling into this idea of samsara, and it hasn't dissolved yet, and I don't know when or if it will in this lifetime. I don't know if that's something that I can fully integrate, because it's something that is really dark. I mean, I would describe it as kind of like, um, there is a Marvel movie where there's an actual entire planet that tries to destroy all the other planets and everything in the universe, and that's kind of the way that is. You know, like the base of the mind, the base of this I thought, that says I exist, I exist. And so it's kind of like that, like a dark planet that has a lot of defenses around it. And so I've just been observing it from the self, just seeing it and letting it be there, because there's nothing to do about it actually, because it's not actually true. So there's nothing actually to do about it. It will dissolve on its own when it's ready to, because it's just something that the self is playing out anyway. Um, However, seeing it is quite, it's quite fascinating. It's like, oh, oh my, look at that. Okay, yeah, that's the mind. Okay, wonderful. And just seeing how it works and what it does, and how, it's like, okay, well, yeah, there it is. And so it's been really beautiful to be holding space for Luis in such a way. That's his name. He's so beautiful. In such a way um, where his consciousness is learning how to guide itself, to guide itself in such a way where it's no longer attaching to these really heavy ideas of not being enough. Really, it's ideas that say that my own source is not enough. That I need something external to me in order to be okay. And so holding space for that, and the way that that idea shows up is, ooh, is so profoundly deep. Um, I mean, it is what that idea right there, that there's something that I need external to me in order to complete myself. When we go into it, there's ideas about our value, and so that idea, when we're experiencing extreme illness, when we're experiencing hospitalization and powerlessness and extreme limitation, the idea that I need something external to me to be okay, that I can't trust in what is, that I can't trust in what we would call my own source connection, or my own source, that I can't trust in myself, is truly what it is. That idea is what blocks embodiment completely. Anytime that idea shows up and we pick it up, then there's no more embodiment from there. Because if that idea shows up, then what it's really asking for is to feel deeply into that space without any ideas around it. That's what it's really asking for, rather than moving with the idea that I'm actually the one that's limited. I'm actually the one that has no value. And this idea, when I first started to awaken, it came up for me in so many ways. And some of the really strong ways, I remember one time I was in my bathroom. I was living in Brooklyn in an apartment. And I was in my bathroom, and the idea started to come up. And the idea was so strong that it actually moved my body and tried to get me to take my face and bash it into the brick wall over and over again repeatedly. I mean, it said, "You are worthless, you are worthless," and it tried to move me. It was so strong in this way. And so I had to get really powerful within myself and just become very present with that idea and just feel it and recognize that there is no truth to this idea whatsoever. None at all. And I can feel a lot of times when walking through heavily populated areas that this idea is running almost everyone all the time, and it's so incredibly painful. And there's spaces where sometimes there was this bridge in Lima that I would walk across, and I could feel walking across the bridge, the ideas there saying, "Jump, jump over the bridge, jump, you're worthless, jump right now." And I would feel them and I'd say, "Oh my goodness, this is what people are thinking. This, this is what the thoughts are saying here. Oh, oof, how heavy is this?" And if I had less presence, if there was less of me embodied when meeting those thoughts, then they would send me into an immediate spiral, an immediate reactive spiral. And yeah, and that's what everyone who crosses that bridge is feeling, because that's what's there. Those are the ideas that are there. um, Sorry if this is shaking. I'm holding it. Yeah, there's a lot of sun in my face. Okay. Whew. So, someone who's been following the 99 days wrote to me after day 14, and I'm so grateful for them, because when they wrote to me, they reached out and they said, because I could feel that this container is challenging to hold. It's really difficult to meet. There's a lot to process in such a. I mean, even just the word process. I don't. That word has a Western idea or masculine idea of work attached to it. There's no work here. There's nothing. There's nothing work about it. It's all just moving. It's all just moving through. And so the idea of someone who's working or someone who's processing, that's heavy as well. So that can be dropped right into silence. There's no truth to that either. That feels much lighter. Okay, beautiful. And there's never a wrong way of doing it. It's not, it's just doing us. So it's like there's never a wrong way. Everything is unfolding exactly the way it needs to always. Everything is moving with the intention of exploring, because we don't know what this is. The self is just exploring itself. It has no other way of knowing what it is. And so we never know what this is. And we'll never ever know what it is. So the lightness comes from just being there, where there's nothing to know at all. There's nothing to figure out. There's no stressful idea that's true. We can drop them all into silence right now. And so I was sharing that. Someone very beautifully wrote me and said, please don't quit this commitment. And I was so grateful because so okay, that was interesting. My phone overheated, so I just switched to a different piece of equipment. And I was just sharing about how it did come up. The idea did come up of not continuing with this, or or even just hiding it, not broadcasting it fully. Because right now I'm broadcasting it to the world, and truth, it's bringing up some reactions that aren't nice, that aren't pleasant to feel through. However, I am fully committed to this. I am fully committed to truth. And I am fully committed to the embodiment of self, the deeper embodiment of self, and to speaking about it and sharing about it. And I will not be reneging on this commitment because that is where my intention is, and that is what I'm committed to, fully and completely, 100%. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. There is nothing but love here. And I am 100% with you all the time. I love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.